and welcome to the 61st episode of the Have Aloha Will Travel podcast, episode 61. We've really gone the distance. I'm your co-host, as always, Kevin Allen. With me, as always,
Catherine Toth Fox with Hawaii Magazine. Thanks for listening. I wonder if there's anybody who's been listening since the beginning. You know what I mean? Not the ones who caught up, but if you know, from the beginning.
If you have, please email us. That'd be really
I know.
Cool. We'll shout you out on the next episode.
Kat,
welcome back. You were actually gone last week.
Oh, where was I?
Oh, your husband broke his body.
Oh yeah, he had to he had to have surgery.
That's right.
That's where I was.
And that's so I just did a episode with Paula Fuga.
I know. I'm so sad I missed it.
Yeah, I feel like you two would have really hit it off. And her album, I think, came out on the 25th. Which is past.
This weekend.
Oh, it is this week. No, because this is coming out on Monday.
It doesn't matter. Today's the 28th.
Oh shit! Right, man. June just really flew on by. This summer really flew on by. I was like, wow, the summer solstice is already over.
Oh wait, and now you're 26.
And now I'm 26. That's also true.
You can rent a car in Hawaii without paying the extra fee.
Well, can I?
Can you though? If you could find a car rental.
Yeah, we're actually going to be talking a lot about that on this episode of the Have Aloha Will Travel podcast because, Kat, you went to Kauai a couple of weeks ago. Almost a month ago now at this point.
No, not even. Yeah, it's like a month ago.
Yeah. And I actually went to Maui not too long ago, last week.
Was that your first trip since the pandemic? I guess so, right?
It was. Yeah.
Wasn't it weird?
It was super weird because Aaron and I, Aaron Yoshino, our photographer, Aaron and I went on a trip to the Big Island right when COVID was starting.
I remember.
Like it hadn't really happened yet, like there were rumors and people were still talking about like, oh, did you hear about that COVID thing? And then I remember Aaron and I sitting in the Kona airport and I just looked at Aaron and I said, I don't think we're going to be traveling for a while. And then this trip is my first trip again. And it's with Aaron, a work trip, and we're going to Maui. So it was very full circle. Like we really bookended the COVID-19 pandemic with our travels.
And it's so interesting because when I traveled to Kauai, which wasn't that long ago, the vaccine passport had just started. And now you go and it's like for inter-island travel, it's done. And by the time this comes out, this episode, it'll be very close to July 8th, which is when all travel restrictions for vaccinated travelers, like people from like the mainland can come here.
Yeah.
Without bypassing all travel restrictions.
For sure.
I mean, it's changing so quickly.
It was really weird because I remember reading all your stuff about how, like, oh, you got to do the Aloha Safe stuff and you got to, you might have to get screened. I literally just walked in and out. Like there was a separate, I don't know, it was really confusing. There was like a separate line for some sort of COVID thing. But I didn't even have to show them my vaccine pass or my vaccine card. I brought it with me just in case. But yeah, we just walked right in and out. And I'll tell you what, people who are traveling now, the airports are really busy. I got to H&L pretty early. So it was a 2-night, 3-day trip to Maui. And we did a bunch of stories we're going to talk about in a second. But I got to the H&L airport around 7, so kind of early. And the TSA line was really long. Like it was fully looping around and, it took about 40 minutes to get through.
Wow. 40 minutes from TSA. I mean, to get through TSA at 7, 40 minutes. That's long.
If you think that's long, the Maui airport coming back was even longer. It was, I
believe that.
It was about an hour to get, through TSA.
Wow.
It was really wild. But I guess that just shows that there are a lot more travelers, and a lot more people traveling and flying again. So let's start from the beginning. This has been a trip that we've been planning for a little bit, just because travel is opening up and we're Hawaii Magazine and we like to, we
represent all islands instead of just Oahu.
All islands. Hawaii is not just Oahu. It is all islands. So yeah, so we've been planning this trip for a while. It almost didn't happen.
Oh my God, it almost didn't happen. We were scrambling at the last minute
Yeah,
because of the car rental situation.
we couldn't find a car, which is so dumb because like obviously that's been a problem for everyone. And yeah, we couldn't find a car that was under $1,000 for 3 days. Fortunately, we made some connections and we were able to procure ourselves a car. I won't go into the details specifically. It was not a nice car. It was a car. It was like
we're not sure if it was legal.
I'm not going to talk about it too much. I'll tell you what though, it was an old car, but the AC worked really well, and that's really all.
That's all that matters.
Yeah. So if you're traveling, you might have to get a little creative when it comes to getting a car. There are pretty good prices on Turo though. Turo was an option for us.
Turo was the option that our digital media specialist, Taylin Faltis, used when she came to Oahu last couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
And that word seemed to work out really well for her and her boyfriend when they came from Kona. So yeah, that's an option. But man, this trip, I forgot about how stressful this was, because what ended up happening, we planned it in advance and I had to secure accommodations, right? Because we just didn't know like if we were going to secure anything. And plus we were working with your schedule, and Aaron, our photographer, works for all of our magazines, not just Hawaii magazine. So we had to make sure he was free. We find some dates that worked out. You got on to, one of the national, right?
Yeah.
And you found like a great deal.
So good.
Didn't lock it in.
Well, I did lock it in. I reserved it.
Cancel the reservation?
Because I didn't know if we were going to do the trip or not. And I didn't want to like make this reservation.
Yeah, oh my God.
It was like $150 for 3 days, full on like with national. And I canceled it because I was like, oh, I don't know if, we're going to do the trip. And, maybe it was not like that the next day, even the next week.
No. And I think, and we were booking out kind of early, like kind of way out, like at least a month out. Then we decided on the date. You went back. I feel like it was like a day or two later.
Yeah.
Not only not only was the prices outrageous on all the other, like I was on Orbitz looking at, price comparisons, but I think you said they had no inventory, and that's what ended up happening. Like everybody, it was like $900 or $1,000 for 3 days or 2 days. And then it went like in a couple of days, it went to zero, like no cars available for it that week. The week after,
it was booked out till like September, like end of September.
It was insane, but it just happened in like 2 days.
Yeah, it is. It is a nightmare. Anyways, long story shortish, we got a car. I
had an ulcer. I got an ulcer from that. I didn't even go on the trip.
I got a car.
Just stressing out. Oh my God. Yeah.
Yeah. It was a car where, the key was in a lockbox that was attached to the wheel. So just kind of put that into your perspective. It was like it was a mid-90s vehicle.
Did you ever meet the guy who owned the car? No, right?
Not at all. It was completely through text. He was very nice though. I'm not going to say his name, maybe even for legal reasons. I don't know. I'm not getting anyone in trouble.
I know. Let it go.
So we got the car. Day one on Maui, Aaron and I, our first stop, only because I kind of wanted to get pictures of it. And I always think it's kind of interesting, but people love Krispy Kreme, or they're always talking about Krispy Kreme, which is a donut chain. And there's only one on Maui. Is that correct?
Yes. I think there's only one. Yes. And it's right by the airport, like right when you get off.
Yeah. So we went to Krispy Kreme. We both needed something to eat, and we just thought
Did you eat a donut?
I had half a donut. Those things are really sweet. I
know. I was just gonna say, I can't imagine that you would have eaten a donut. You're pretty picky.
Their coffee is really good though.
Yeah, their coffee is good.
Yeah. So anyways, first stop, really short, really brief, but then kind of the main.
You should have gone to Maui Coffee Addict. I totally forgot. You love that place.
But we've already gone there. I
know.
I really wanted.
I forgot.
If I had like a second of free time, I think I might have tried to go, because that place is really cool. It's in Wailuku. I highly recommend going to Maui Coffee Addict. It is such
a crazy find.
Yeah.
That place. Yeah.
We have an article about it. Maybe I'll link it. I love coffee. All right. We can't talk about Maui Coffee Addict right now. It's kind of the main one of the main things we wanted to do. Day one was go to the Kahakuloa region of Maui. It's kind of on the west side. or yeah, it's up from the airport. Not if you're traveling on the coast, you're not going around Lahaina. You're going around the other side of Maui, the other coast.
You're traveling essentially through the West Maui Mountains.
Exactly. And it feels like it. We had kind of randomly not discovered. Obviously, we haven't discovered any of these places. They've been here for a long time. But we randomly drove through it when we were going to the Olivine Pools, which was a trip we took, 2.5 years ago.
2 years ago.
Yeah. And that was terrifying because the drive is really, it's a lot of one-lane roads, and you're on the side of a mountain, and you feel like you're on the side of a mountain. And it's a lot of really curving roads. But I actually thought it was really nice. I mean, even when we did it to go to the Olivine Pools, I kind of thought this would be a cool place to explore when we have the time. So that was kind of what we did today. The roads have not gotten any less scary.
Well, you didn't go at 5 a.m. We went like at 5 a.m. and it was dark.
It was much scarier.
I was driving. So that was already terrifying.
Yeah. The drive is actually really pretty during the day, as long as you're not the one driving, like the passengers, if you can be the passenger for this drive, because it's really beautiful. You're kind of looking at this very undeveloped side of Maui. I mean, a lot of Maui is still kind of undeveloped, but this is really like you're kind of out there. And as you're going up the mountain in altitude, so as you get closer and closer to the Kahakuloa village, it's really just a small assortment of houses and businesses.
Wouldn't you say it's a good alternative to Hana? I mean, if you don't want to make the big trek to Hana,
Absolutely.
right? I think.
Yeah, definitely. There are less waterfall hikes. It's a little less tropical and lush. It was actually really dry the day we went, so a lot of things came out kind of brown. But it's really beautiful, and it's a lot of cattle, a lot of farmland. So there were just cows on the side of the road, munching away, just living their life. And I gotta say, once we actually got to Kahakuloa, the first business that we kind of ran across on the road was Turnbull Studios, which is this really eclectic art studio. And it was started by a couple, it was a local couple, and they're both sculptors, so they have a lot of work in and throughout the studio. And first of all, it's just a really gorgeous location. They even have a little garden walk that you can go on.
Oh, that's nice.
Just in the studio. And the woman who was showing us around, she actually lives on property. Her house is you can see it from the studio, and it's this gorgeous little bungalow. And it's hard to describe the artwork because it is very it's a real assortment of kind of not traditional art pieces. It's a lot of really wild wood carvings and really colorful paintings and portraits, and just kind of alternative art. So if that's sort of your scene, you can definitely check that out. And it's cool, she was super friendly. Oh, I have her business card, I think. She was super friendly, the woman who was helping us out. She even showed us through the studio, I'm not gonna find her card. She was showing us through the art studio and where the in-house sculptors do their work. I mean, it's a collective of over 35 Maui artists. So you kind of have a wide range to choose from. And she showed us.
Was this Christine Turnbull?
No, it was not the owner.
Oh, okay. It was but so there's people actual artists work there as well, and they do their art there. Is that? Oh, that's cool.
The owners work there, and sometimes, the contributing artists will come and work as well. And it's all open to the public. Neat. You can check it out, and it's cool because there's a big emphasis on experiencing the art, not just visually, but you can touch all the art. It's actually encouraged that you touch the sculptures and kind of, it's a really immersive experience, and it's all open to the public. So yeah, that was really awesome. I think, if you are looking to bring something back with you that's really special and one of a kind, that's a really cool place to go check out. Oh, Turnbull Studio. Cool. That was our first, and again, super nice. Everyone in Kahakuloa who I met was incredibly warm and welcoming, real aloha spirit kind of thriving. And yeah, next stop was Julia's Banana Bread,
we saw that when we were driving there, and then it's come up on our Reader's Choice Awards. I've never been there. And then we were like, okay, we need to go. And then I did research, and you went on a Monday, and they're normally closed on Monday.
Yeah.
I was like, oh no.
Yeah.
But you actually got to
I got to meet Julia.
That's so cool.
It was super cool. Yeah. She super sweet old lady. And she
Don't say old.
I'm
just saying, so just because you're 26, you know, she's probably like 42.
Yeah, so it's like a really quaint little, it's almost like a tree house, like it's built around a tree. And it's a small little green shack. And they don't only have banana bread, but their banana bread is really good. And you get 2 loaves for $10, which is kind of a steal. But they got all sorts of other goodies. They've got these coconut crisp treats that are really good. They've got this passion fruit glaze that I sampled that was really delicious. And Julia was super nice. I mean, just talking story with her, and you know, I was kind of asking her like, oh, like, you know, how did you get started with this? How did you come about making banana bread? And she used to be a teacher, I guess, at one of the local schools, and one of her other teachers, fellow teachers, would always bring banana bread to their teacher meetings. And she loved it, you know, and she asked her fellow teacher for the recipe, and kind of started making it herself. And that's kind of how she got the idea to start.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. So it was super awesome to meet her. Her daughter also, it's like built on a property that is huge, and it's her property. There's like taro being grown all around the stand. Yeah. So it was really nice to meet her. And again, just super friendly people.
So it really is like an abbreviated road to Hana, because on Hana there's all these like roadside stands that sell banana bread. I feel like was she the only one in that area selling banana bread, or were there others? I think there's one more, like Lorraine's or something, maybe.
Yeah, there's Lorraine's, and then there's a couple others. We only stopped at Julia's though, and that's all we had time for. But there's also a plate lunch place kind of at the top of Kahakuloa. There's a little outlook area. That is a really great place to kind of get like a good view, I guess, of the village, of the whole area. Unfortunately, they were closed, so we couldn't eat there. But I think it's called Brada's food truck. Of course.
Of course it is.
Yeah, so Kahakuloa was it's cool. It is like you're right. It's kind of like it only took maybe an hour and a half, you know, to get fully through it. And it is a bit like an abbreviated road to Hana. It's a little less tropical, but it is definitely a different side, I guess, of Maui. That, again, I mean, you know, as Aaron and I were driving through it, we did not see like a lot of other visitors. It's still pretty low key. I mean, there were a couple other cars on the road that we could tell were rentals, but you know, it was really low key. Although when we did get to the top, that kind of lookout area, Aaron and I were stopping, and not one but 2 cars pulled up next to me and asked me, they were coming the other way. So they were coming from the Lahaina Ka'anapali side. They were coming around, and they asked me if the roads were going to get even scarier. And I had to
2 people asked you that?
Yeah, 2 different like cars, like they pulled up at the same time. Like one of them was talking to me, and then the other one pulled up behind, and they were like also asking me about it. And I had to tell them like, oh yeah, it gets way scarier, because Aaron and I ended up driving towards the Ka'anapali side. So we kept going up the coast, and those roads were much nicer. You know, it was like 2 lanes, and I mean, it's very curvy, but it wasn't like 1 lane, you know, no railing action like it is on the other side. And I did see that they turned back, so maybe that was,
oh really?
Yeah, maybe that was for the best. They seemed pretty sketched out by the drive already. But Aaron and I had a long day to go. That was really just the morning of day 1. From there we checked out a lot of beaches. I think about 8 in total.
Wow.
For an upcoming feature. You know, we at Hawaii Magazine, we just talk a lot about beaches, but sometimes we don't have photography of them. So this was a good opportunity for us to get that photography. And the first stop was Honolulu Bay, which is a super nice beach.
Did you guys go all the way down? Did you hike down?
No, because to be honest, the view from up top was a lot better. You get that really panoramic, you know, you get that really panoramic shot. And the parking was pretty gnarly to try to get down. There was not a lot of parking. And that ended up being a recurring theme for all of these beaches. But yeah, Honolulu Bay, it's during the summer right now, so it's very flat, you know. The bay is known for surfing, but specifically in the wintertime, during the summertime, it is gorgeous. Like it is just completely flat. There were a couple boats, snorkeling tours already in the bay, and there were, you know, pods of snorkelers in and around. And the water, I mean, even from up top from the lookout, it was almost see-through. Like you could see right through it. Although my attention was mostly on where the waves normally break. Even on a small day like today, there was like a 1 foot little like perfect right just going the whole time.
Have you ever surfed there?
I've never even gone. It was my first time.
Oh, I've surfed there.
Oh, it looks,
yeah.
I could tell like just from looking at that
hectic.
little break, it looks pretty good.
Yeah. You can't go left. The left is a mountain.
Yeah, I was like going to say, it's only a right, I would assume.
Yeah.
Yeah. Honolulu Bay was super cool. We checked out I'm not going to go too into the other ones, but we went to like DT Fleming Beach. We went to Napili Bay. We went to, we were going to go to Lahaina Beach, but speaking of parking, Lahaina Beach was insanely,
I've heard,
within a mile radius. But fortunately, we actually found a small park that's like just down the road from Lahaina, Kamehameha Iki Park, which had a parking lot that had stalls, and it's like a very small park, and then there's a beach there's a small beach area as well. But it was fine. I mean, it was like right next, you could see Lahaina from the beach. You know, it was really close, and there was plenty of parking, so that was kind of a nice find for us. You know,
that is a nice find. Yeah.
On these trips, we try to find maybe spots that aren't super popular, and you know, just try to check them out. So that was
blow it up.
And blow it up, you know, on the podcast, on the internet, on hawaiimagazine.com. Yeah, we're gonna get some comments about that one.
Oh yeah.
And then we went to Olowalu, which is kind of known for being like a really great beginner surf spot. And, you know, I could even see it, like, it's just very gentle waves. And it's a huge stretch of beach. That's another beach that we did not have to worry about finding parking at all, because there's so much, you know, sand and beachfront along that whole Olowalu strip. You could literally go to the beach anywhere along that strip, and it would be pristine. There was like a more Olowalu Beach Park area where there was a small lagoon that looked really good for kids. You know, it was protected by a break wall and everything. And then there was a small surf break right out in front. So that was super fun. And then it was like 4 o'clock, and Aaron and I had been driving for so long. You know, we always joke about these work trips, right? Like it's amazing because we get to go out and do a bunch of really cool stuff, but then it's also like 12-hour work days every day, pretty much. Yeah. So our accommodations, Kat, you helped set this up, was a Haʻikū House, which is a B&B. It's not, okay. So when you had set this up for us, we had assumed that we were just getting like one room in a house that it looked like a very nice house.
I was too. That's what I thought.
So just to set up a little background, I guess, the Haʻikū House it was originally a property that was deeded to Richard Armstrong from King Kamehameha III, and it's a huge property. It's 40 acres. And then I believe Richard Armstrong built this really beautiful plantation-style house on the property. Henry Baldwin of Alexander and Baldwin fame, you know, one of the major sugar cane players here in the islands, incredibly rich individual. He bought the house and the property from Richard Armstrong, and he did a little bit more renovation. He added onto the house as well, and then it's gone through a few other owners, and now it's owned by the Chan family. They purchased it in 2015, and they did even more renovations to it, and they've set it up as a home that you can rent out the entire home. And when I say home, it's more of a mansion. It's 9 bedrooms.
Wow. Oh my God.
Yeah, it's 9 bedrooms, and every single bedroom is essentially a suite. You know, it is huge. And Aaron and I, again, we are in a janky looking rental car. So we pull up. It's one of those driveways that it's got a gate, you know, and you hit the button and the gate swings open like a mansion, and you drive up this really long driveway. And then we pull up in our Camry. I remember the house manager at Kaika was like, "Are you Kevin?" He wasn't sure, and I don't blame him. Yeah, so we pull up, and it's huge. And again, I'm only thinking like, oh, maybe Aaron and I will have like one room, you know, that we'll share, the both of us. But we had the whole house.
Wow,
to
that's
ourselves.
crazy. Whatever, Kevin. You're welcome.
To put it in perspective, the house I think is around $7,000 a day to rent.
Are you serious?
Yeah. So it's a lot. And it was really interesting too, because I was asking Akaika, the property manager, like, oh, who rents this house out? And apparently a family had rented it out for like 2 months.
Wow. Oh my God.
Man, that they are making some good money. Because you don't just get the house, you get this really gorgeous 20-acre property. And then there's another 20-acre that's actually dedicated to a farmland.
Do you want to know how much that costs?
I don't want to
look at that.
Oh my God.
That's like almost $500,000 to rent that house for 2 months. I mean, maybe they give like a discount if you rent over 5 days in a row or something. Oh my God. That's a lot.
It's a lot, but you get a lot, And yeah, so there's an additional 20 acres that is kind of dedicated to farmland and agriculture. And they produce a lot of really beautiful produce. As Aaron and I kind of went to the kitchen, which has 2 fridges, by the way. As we went to the kitchen, they had this beautiful like bouquet of local produce on display. And I swear to God, there was a papaya that's as big as my head. And that all came.
Oh, that's a big papaya.
And it's really cool though that they work with a lot of they work with the community a lot. They let like local schools in and stuff for kind of farm days, and they try to give back to the community in a lot of different ways. But I mean, the house was gorgeous. So I stayed in the master bedroom, obviously.
Of course you did. Wow, you didn't even like switch off and let Aaron?
Aaron could choose from any one of the 9 suites. He had the whole lower house. And I gotta say, in this house as well, I know I'm just like gushing about this, but in this house, you're
so bougie, Kevin.
There were pieces of furniture gifted to Henry Baldwin by like Hawaiian royalty that are literally one of a kind. Like, you can't find this. This is just one of a kind pieces of furniture. Like, there's a beautiful koa wood bench right in the entryway of the house that is like literally, it's the only one in its existence. So it really made me cautious. I always had a coaster on me because I didn't want to I was so worried about putting my cup on things, There was, I can't even begin to, there was an outside lounge area. There was a smoking room. It's just like another indoor lounge area with really nice leather chairs. I spent some time there. There was, the kitchen was huge. There was another living room area. The outside area had like a fire pit. There's a pool on property that is beautiful.
Oh my God.
It's almost too much to talk about.
How were the robes?
The robes were incredible. They were the nicest robes I've ever had. They were like fully plush. Like they were very, even the pencils. All right, can I say something? I stole a pencil.
From the Haʻikū House?
Yeah.
Why did you steal a pencil?
Like the nicest pencil I've ever seen.
Oh my God, you did steal a pencil.
Yeah, but I mean, there were a lot, but it was really nice. There were like antiques and relics. I mean, it almost felt like you're in like a museum, like you're in Iolani Palace. Like it felt like you were staying in Iolani Palace because, I mean, there was like original transcriptions of like Hawaiian music and ballads just on the wall. They kept a lot of the original furniture as well. So like a lot of Henry Baldwin, a lot of his books that he read at the time, they're all still in the library. The library.
Wow.
So from a historical perspective, it was a very interesting place to be, I guess. There was a typewriter that Henry Baldwin used. I mean, it was just a typewriter from the times.
Wow.
And they've done a lot to renovate it in a very, they didn't want to make it look too modern, but some renovations had been done to make it look like a nice B&B. It's not all from the time. They did a lot of renovations and they only recently started renting the space out, I think in 2019. And then COVID happened, so they couldn't really do much with the space. So that was.
I mean, I can totally see why Ikaika saw you and Aaron roll up, especially you. Were you driving?
Yeah, of course I was driving.
Did you look like this? You probably did. I'd be like,
oh yeah.
Yeah, you in a Camry.
I mean, to be fair, yeah, we'd also like worked. We'd also been working like most of the day. I was super tired. But it was really cool. It was definitely one of a, it was definitely the cool part about this job, where it's something like, oh, this is probably something I'm ever going to do once in my life. Unfortunately, the way things are, I pretty much only was there to sleep, and then by the time I woke up, we had to go. So there wasn't a whole lot we could do on the property. Yeah. Man, Kat, should we split this up into two? We're already 30 minutes long. I got day 2.
Up to you.
Oh, nah, I can run through day 2 pretty quick.
Okay.
Day 2, I want to explore Haʻikū a lot. We might do a Haʻikū town guide in the near future. So I just checked out a lot of local businesses. Haʻikū is a really cool town if you're looking for somewhere to stay that's not maybe as busy as Paia, because Paia is really busy now. It is. Driving through Paia takes 15 minutes because there's so much cars and people. So if you want that sort of North Shore Maui experience, but you don't want to be in the middle of everything, stay in Haʻikū. Haʻikū is really nice. It's very quiet. There are koki frogs, by the way, on Maui.
Oh,
we heard them.
You heard them?
We heard them. They're loud and clear.
Wow.
Maybe bring some earplugs because they are loud. But Haiku's got a lot of really cool local businesses. There's Fukushima store
I love that place.
Fukushima store has got the best hot dogs on Maui. I'm saying it.
Yeah.
Kevin Allen, their hot dogs are insane. I highly recommend it. It's like a super unassuming little like grocery store that's just got the most Ono hot dogs. We went to places like Wailuku Coffee, which is also in Haʻikū. I don't know why they call it Wailuku Coffee. I believe it might be a chain. I got to research it a little more. Maui Kombucha is a really cool place. They make all their kombucha in-house. They've had kombucha. I was talking to the woman behind the counter, and she was explaining to me how kombucha was made. And they've been using the same strains for decades to make this kombucha. I guess it repopulates itself. So that's pretty cool. Haʻikū Style is just a really cute, kitschy little place to get souvenirs if you're looking for that. That's kind of in the main shopping center area. We went to Akamai Coffee, which is not in Haʻikū. But Akamai Coffee was a place that we did want to check out. They use only coffee or Maui grown coffee. So that place was really cool.
That's cool.
And so day 2, our end game was getting to Haleakala for sunset because we wanted to catch the sunset and we wanted to catch the stars. So I'm just gonna move into that right now to save a little time. And there's a lot to talk about because Haleakala, first off, it costs $30 to get in per car. I don't remember it being that expensive. I think they might have increased the price, just so you know. Also, if you're gonna go for sunset, earlier is definitely better because the upper parking lot where you can park and then you're at the summit already was full an hour and a half before sunset. Not only was it full, but there was a line of cars just waiting to turn around. And if you really want to get like a good view from the top of Haleakala and you want to get in front of, because by the time sunset rolls around, there's a huge crowd of people on the ridge line. So if you want to get in front of all of them, you really do got to get there early. For example, Aaron, our photographer, wanted to do this really beautiful time lapse. And for that, he needed to have an unobstructed view. And we got there about an hour and a half before sunset. And even then was cutting it kind of close. We got pretty lucky. He found a stall. I just dropped him off right at the top. Fortunately, there is a parking lot below the summit that has much more parking. There's also a bathroom there if you need to use it. You will just have to walk up the road to get to the summit. It takes about 5-10 minutes. So just if you're cutting it kind of close. The sunset was really beautiful. We couldn't get a sunrise reservation. Those can be kind of tough to come by. If you want a similar experience, but much less people, I would maybe recommend doing sunrise. Which is so funny because before it was the opposite. Like everybody wanted to see sunrise. Yeah, sunrise was the thing. And then the Haleakala National Park decided to implement a reservation system because it was getting out of control. I see. And
so, so they did that. So then in sunset was always this kind of like off neglected time of day to come to Haleakala National Park. And then because you don't have a reservation system, it's kind of free for all, that became more crowded than the sunrise, which is so crazy to me.
Yeah.
But I mean, yeah.
It was really packed. It was very shoulder to shoulder. But if you do come for the sunrise, I recommend that don't leave right when the sun goes down. Some of the best, the clouds really start lighting up maybe 5 to 10 minutes after the sun goes down. I don't know why or how that works, but some of the colors start getting a lot more vibrant after the sun has gone down and starts really reflecting up into the clouds. That was something Aaron told me. And you know, a lot of people also leave the moment the sun goes down. So if you want it to be a little less crowded, you know, for your viewing experience, just wait a little bit, because we also waited for the, you know, for nighttime so we could get some starfoot photography. And that was really beautiful. If you are into photography and you know how to work long exposure shots, you can get some really gorgeous shots from Haleakala at night. I do recommend bringing a jacket because it does get very cold. If you want to talk about,
You know, I can't believe that you didn't bring a jacket again, Kevin.
Yeah.
Like this, we went to Maui and you didn't bring a jacket. We had to borrow a jacket from a stranger pre-COVID. And then you don't ever bring a jacket.
I didn't bring a jacket.
Kevin, it is cold up there.
It's incredibly cold. The moment the sun, I mean, it's cold before the sun goes down, but once the sun goes down, it is frigid. So take it from me.
Weren't you wearing that shirt? You were wearing that exact shirt.
Yeah, I put my arms in my shirt to try to maintain.
I can't.
But then at some point I told Aaron, I'll be in the car. Let me know if you need anything. And I kept popping in and out, but yeah, it was especially cold at night. So I recommend bringing a jacket.
Yeah. You know, the night sky program was something that the national park was just about starting, and then COVID happened and they're going to restart that soon. But, you know, they're thinking about or planning to have a night sky ranger to be there at night, because Haleakala on Maui is the best place to view stars. I mean, you're at such a high elevation, you're above the cloud line. It is just an unobstructed view of the skies, really.
Yeah.
I can't think of a better place on Maui where you could do that. I got to pay $30, but I mean, it's just a nice, different thing to do.
For sure.
Than the usual. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. And it's cool because, you know, you also get this view of Maui you don't normally get at night, with, you know, kind of there's not a lot of city lights, but you can see kind of the little communities, you know, because you're so high up, you know, you have such a great view. You can see all the communities kind of lighting up. But yeah, I mean, the stars were crystal clear. And then we drove down at like 9 o'clock. We didn't get
How
back.
was the drive down, by the way?
It was okay, but there were cows just randomly, like not very close to the road. Like I guess they were smart enough now to not go into the road, but I had to drive a little extra slow because there were just cows on the side of the road hanging out.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
A little weird. And then, yeah, so that was the end of day 2. Day 3, real quick, we went to Baked on Maui. That's another haiku business that I wanted to point out for breakfast. And they were really good. They were fantastic.
Oh, good to know.
They've got very fantastic, like just American traditional style breakfast with really good pastries. I had their cinnamon bun. It was delectable. And again, people super friendly. I was just randomly talking to this older gentleman. He was telling me about his previous life as a lumberjack. It was a whole thing. And then the last thing I want to talk about, I know we're running super long. The last thing I want to talk about is Maui Ocean Center. We went to Maui Ocean Center.
Oh yeah.
And then we jumped on the plane. That is a really fantastic aquarium experience. I was talking to their general manager, and he was really sharing with me how they're kind of trying to shed the negative connotations of being in an aquarium, you know, which is there's a lot of, you know, there are negative connotations, or people think negatively sometimes of aquarium because, you know, they're keeping animals, they're keeping fish in a contained space. But they had said that at Maui Ocean Center, they really do care for the health and the sustainability of the aquarium practice. So, you know, if fish start getting stressed, or, you know, they'll only keep fish or specimen there for 1 to 2 years. And then if they start getting stressed, they'll release them back into the wild. You know, they're giving back to the community a lot. They're pumping out clean water back into the bay to kind of offset some pollution that's going on in the nearby bay. So there's going to be a whole article on that in our September-October issue. So if you guys want to read more about that, I really highly recommend you check it out. There's the last thing. There's a holographic, I guess. You know, when you put the 3D glasses on and you get the things popping out at you. What is that?
Okay. Like you're talking like not hologram, but is it a hologram? No.
I don't know. It's like a 3D viewing experience of humpback whales.
Okay.
And that was really cool because it's like, I mean, it's actually really well done. And the humpback whales like swim by you and stuff. And then right at the end, you think it's like over, and then all of a sudden like a whale just comes out of nowhere. And it was so funny because Aaron and I were leaving a little bit early because we had to leave. We had to go to the airport. And the jump scare, I don't want to call it a jump scare, but it's kind of a jump scare happened. And it was funny looking back at it, watching everyone go, then people clapped at the end. It's a really nice aquarium. It's pretty small, but you know, there's a lot to see and read there. And they have a lot of really very informative exhibits. It's a lot more than just looking at the fish, and kind of more reading and understanding the ecology and the sea life of Hawaii, and a lot of the cultural aspects around that too. They make a really big emphasis on Olelo Hawaii and like a lot of their signage and a lot of their staff. It was really cool. So I recommend it.
Awesome.
Oh,
wow. I'm already tired just listening to you, Kevin.
You're telling me, man. It was it was a lot, but it was fun. You know, we got a lot done, and I thought we got a lot of really good photography and a lot of great story leads. So yeah, that was Maui for 3 days. Yeah, and then the airport was crazy, and we just walked on out, and there was, you know, Aaron and I had 5 hours to kill in that airport, so we got pretty comfortable.
What did you guys do for 5 hours?
I took a quick nap, and then I watched some Netflix. I'm glad free Wi-Fi has become a synonymous thing in airports, because it wasn't here for a while.
No, you have to pay like $9.99 or something for.
Crazy.
I remember that.
It's free now, so that's good. That's it.
Well, that is good.
That's the podcast. Kat, I'm tired of talking. Do you mind doing the shout outs?
Really? That's it? You're on a
throat
roll. Oh, Kevin. Well, anyway, thanks for listening to that epically long podcast, the monologue of Kevin Allen, now 26. So he's got a lot more to say. Please subscribe and rate us on whatever platform you're using. Let people know about our podcast. That'd be great. If you have any questions or any topics you want us to talk about on our podcast, let us know. You can email, I don't even know, media@hawaiimagazine.com. Follow us on all of our social platforms at Hawaii Magazine. And of course, check our website out. We have lots of cool stuff. Actually, we have all of our episodes too on our website. If you ever want to go back and look at them, Kevin will upload this video. So if you want to see us talking, why, I don't know, you can watch it on Facebook. And then we also upload it to YouTube, or we're supposed to be, but I don't know if Kevin is actually doing it.
I got to catch up.
Yeah, you do. Anyway, that's it for the podcast. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye.
Bye-bye.